very early on, they got the original dancers from Harlem to come
You want to
up
hear
with
my
that.
theory on all this? I have a theory.
Yeah.
I have a theory about the early days of the resurgence.
Yeah.
This was around 1983 in 4 places at exactly the same time Lindy Hop was resurged. Okay? So you got Los Angeles, New York, London, and Sweden. Really bizarre, right? I'll say that again. Los Angeles, New York, London, and Sweden. Stockholm. Crazy, weird. Okay? Why 1983? Why then? I'm convinced that the movie Hell's a Poppin' went into the public domain that year. Because Hell's a Poppin' is the movie that's got the big swing dance scene, and it went into the public domain, and it was shown over and over and over on TV, and I think that everybody saw it in the same year, because it's crazy that on that same year in 3 different countries, and New York and LA could be in 2 different countries, right, that this was resurged in a small way, albeit a strong way. So you have the foundations of what we're doing right now in 83 and 84. So that is my opinion. I don't know, but that movie Hell's a Poppin' was the first thing that people saw. Now when I was starting in 94, 96. I was doing a little bit, like I said, the East Coast swing, but 96, yeah, this is pre-YouTube, it's pre-DVD, all this stuff. So the holy grail was Hell's a Poppin', Day at the Races, and One Girl and Two Boys. That was about it. Those were the 3 you can get. And if you really knew somebody, you might get this swing feet. Let's see. You might get also some of the rock and roll clips, like "Don't Knock the Rock," maybe. But they were nasty 5th, 6th generation where there's some dancers doing something. The interesting thing to me is that now with YouTube and high def, that anybody can take their little camera, high def, post it on YouTube, study it, that the arc is much steeper for new dancers. How they learn, they're learning so much faster because they can just study this stuff, study it, figure it out, study it, teach it. Just they can learn so much faster. We had literally, like I said, we had 2 clips, 3 if we were lucky. But I remember sitting with Simon. We sat on the floor of his office night after night watching those things over and over and over again. But you can't run video backwards or slow it or this or that. We just sat there and had to keep watching it and watching it and watching it. We would just watch them, and those were, like I said, the holy grail for all of us of my generation.
I remember I felt so lucky because I had like a 5th or 6th generation of groovy movie to look at.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to say was the groovy movie was that other one. Man, if you could get the groovy movie, you were something.
Well, also 1983, that's when home entertainment, studios started to realize, they have these libraries that they could, start putting out there and really making a lot of money on. And Day at the Races was something that went out there that people were able to just, go to their video store and see it. And that's exciting. Well, one of the things that I find so ironic about Harang and the Swedes and all of that is because they brought those original Harlem dances over to teach them, that in some ways the most authentic African American dancer, are the whitest people in the world.
Do you want me to say that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay, so the really fascinating part of this resurgence is that in '83, when all these 4 places, as I said, they started resurging, and then they found Frankie Manning, and they found Norma Miller, and they found all these original dancers and started studying with them. And then, we all studied with them. But American dancing started to evolve. So really today, the most authentic, old school, East Coast, Savoy Ballroom, Lindy Hop is being done by very pasty-faced, blonde Swedes.
The whitest people on earth.
The whitest people on earth besides the Finns. Okay, who are even whiter. Because just no. Yeah, it's really interesting because the kind of dancing a lot of us are doing now isn't the same as the Savoy Ballroom because so many of us were lured into the Hollywood style, and then it's morphed into all this other stuff. It keeps evolving. But in Sweden, they have really stayed true to that style. It's amazing. If you could just silhouette them, and then silhouette the original Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, you would see the same lines, the dance lines I'm talking about. Yeah.
You briefly mentioned the Hollywood style, whatever. Can you just just like a soundbite or whatever, that back in, I guess, the 90s, whatever, there was a time when Savoy versus Hollywood
Yeah,
style
yeah.
was kind of this thing, and
Yeah.
they were kind of at each other, and then finally they realized, wait a second, it's the same dance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting when I came back to the United States in '98 and was dancing at the Derby all the time. We were all doing the Savoy style. It was called the Savoy style, which is what we all learned from Frankie Manning in that crowd. And then Dean Mora started playing on Monday nights there, and he played really, really fast. And it's very hard to do Savoy style Lindy Hop to fast music. So we had to find some ammunition to put in our swing dance arsenal. And some people found the Hollywood style, which is much easier to do at high tempos for a long time. So you were talking about 3-4 hours of dancing. You cannot do Savoy style dancing that fast. So we saw it and we were like, God, this is great. It's awesome. You know, we can do it faster. It's not as tiring. And so we started learning it, and it went hand in hand with dressing vintage. And so then there became this thing where the people who dressed vintage did Hollywood style, and the people who dressed in what do you call those, training trousers and t-shirts, they did Savoy. And there was suddenly this really like two sides of the room thing, and they used to be called the wars or something like that. But it was just, thank goodness, a very short period. It was really just about a year, because then what happens is all of us who did the Hollywood style all started with Savoy. So we had the advantage because we could do both. So we finally realized, wait a second, it's all, meaning the whole community of both sides, we realized that it was all great Lindy Hop. And it's, even calling it Savoy style and Hollywood style is a little bit misleading. Really what we're talking about is the style of Frankie Manning and his crowd, and the style of Dean Collins and Jewel McGowan and Jean Velos and Irene Thomas and that crowd. And they just dance differently, different posture. But within each community, you can also find black dancers of the 30s and 40s who dance exactly Hollywood style, exactly, with the different posture and the counterbalance and blah, 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 the technical stuff, and vice versa. So it wasn't a black or white thing. It was just a style thing. And here's the thing I like. What Frankie always used to say, you could go into the Savoy Ballroom. Lights could be out and just see the silhouette. And you could say, hey, there's Joe, there's Dude, there's Susan. You could see everybody just by their line. That was the goal, is to have your own style, not to look like the next one exactly. So that's
cool.
what, as a dancer, you should do.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about the Lindy Hoppers versus Westies?
Oh God! If the funny thing is, with the difference between West Coast and Lindy Hop, I kind of have to stand up and do my physical impersonation of it, because it's really funny what they think we do and what we think they do. It's really different. We tend to, when we imitate West Coast swing dances, we tend to do a lot of this. the over the. And when they imitate us, they tend to jump around the room and kick their legs out all the time. This is what Lindy Hoppers look like. Kick, 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 kick. So. Basically they both have the same roots, and Lindy Hop goes this way, and then West Coast kind of went just like this. And what it did is it just started dancing to more modern music, a lot of slower music, and dance is a reflection of the music. So if you're dancing to slower rhythm and blues music, you're going to move differently. So it has become a distinct dance. It's a different dance. Hey, Buddy the Wonder Dog, you want to come up here for a second? No, you're not. There's a dog down. Come on.
Can you talk a little bit about vintage, because look at this place.
Look who's here.
Yay, Buddy
Look
the
who's
Wonder
here.
Dog.
So this is the dog that actually ran into my dance classes and jumped in my arms 2 months ago. Yeah.
When did you become
Should I move him?
Yeah, let's pull him down just for the editor.
the
Okay.
editor? Yeah.
Say goodbye, Buddy.
Oh,
Goodbye.
Buddy.
Goodbye. Can we
Yeah, kisses, kisses,
Thank you.
kisses.
Okay, that was
He
all we
would
got.
love Zoe. Oh, wow. Zoe would love
Okay,
him.
stay over there. You lie down. Thank
That's
you.
such a good boy.
Good
Oh, you were so lucky to get such.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
When did you become obsessed with the vintage stuff?
I just want to make sure when I did that thing that I didn't make my hair fly all over the place.
No.
Oh, I'm one of these people, I like to say, I don't live in the past, I play in it. Because I really do. I have been attracted to the 20s and 30s. First it was the 30s, the aesthetic, the style, the architecture, all that kind of stuff, since I was six. And I kind of pulled very slowly and gradually away from modern culture, starting.
Hold for 1 second.
Oh, buddy, go over there. Go over there. Come here. Yeah, I know you're just doing.
Oh, your big close up.
Okay, you stay there. You can do whatever you want over there.
Because I couldn't see that.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, stay over there. Good boy. Good boy. You stay right there. Stay there. Oh, good. All my practicing with stay is working. No, buddy, go over there. Buddy,
See right now?
seeing it?
He's in the frame, but as long as he's not licking himself.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
Okay, sit right here. There you go. See right there.
Good boy.
Yeah. Good boy.
Yeah.
That's a good boy. I would give him a chew toy, but then we'd hear